Hello everyone. Well, my name is Saurabh and I lead SharePoint practice at eDynamic. I have over 7 years of experience in enterprise content management and I've been delivering quite an extensive set of projects on SharePoint. I've been delivering projects on business intelligence, content management system, branding, collaboration, and SharePoint composites as well. Today, I will be talking about I'll be talking about the common pain points which we usually experience on our intranet environment. I'll also talk about like what SharePoint can do to cater those pain points. I'll also talk about like what are the important elements to make a successful intranet and how those elements can be delivered well by SharePoint. I'll also talk about intranet implementation models, about like the different type of implementation models. We'll also talk about positioning of SharePoint for intranet, like what needs to be done once it's completely installed in the organization. And at the end, I'll walk you through with a few SharePoint UIs, like some screenshots, like how does it actually look like. So well, at eDynamic, we are completely focused on digital marketing solutions and content management systems as well. We have been doing this for over 10 years by now, and we have delivered the content management systems to well over 200 clients. We are trusted business partners for many SharePoint and other CMS service providers, and we have been delivering on a versatile node, wherein we have been delivering to the industries like manufacturing, travel, hospitality, oil and gas, pharmaceuticals, financial services, etc. So we have global presences in New York, Toronto, Dubai, and New Delhi. And our core set of SharePoint offerings includes the consulting, SharePoint solutions, application outsourcing, and integration, migration, SharePoint search services, corporate websites, intranet, extranet, internet, and the dedicated BI models as well. Well, often we get to hear some pain areas on intranet, like I'm assuming like most of us are already having some intranet environment in-house, or maybe if you don't have one, then we are planning or thinking about having one in the organization. So what are the common pain points we can think of which are pretty much generic if you talk about any industry? So let's have a look at a few of them. Like we hear these pretty often, like should we migrate to a different content management system altogether, or how do we make our content more searchable? People are dumping data into it. Can we just search through it? How to make the optimum utilization of all the knowledge management that we have on our intranet, or how do we enable mobile users for our intranet, or say how to make our content more productive so that we can enhance the overall productivity in the organization. How do we ensure that all the employees are totally engaged on it? So these are a few common pain areas which we experience on a regular basis. So what is the common solution for that? Like what all are the common elements in the intranet that can make it which are, if introduced in the organization, then we can call it as a successful intranet. Then those elements could be considered as collaboration, learning, organization, the data structuring, connectivity, participation, like being the right set of engagement from the end users, the user adaptability, fostering ideas, innovation, work, etc. Let's have a quick poll on it. Let's hear from user like what are their common pain areas on intranet. Let's see like what users say, like what all are their pain areas on intranet. All right, seems like customization looks like a painful area for most of the users. So I'll be sticking to that agenda as well. I'll be talking more about the customization aspect of SharePoint, like how best we can achieve it, how best we can achieve our requirement with no or low level of customizations. So these are a few areas where I got to understand your pain point, like your painful stuff, like where exactly do we experience the hard time getting things done on intranet. So I'll just cater them from now on during this presentation. Let's first talk about now what is SharePoint. SharePoint, in a layman language, like I can tell you, like it's a tool to set up websites, to share information with others, manage documents from start to finish, and publish reports to help everyone make better decisions, and also ensures that the right set of data is available in the document repository. We will have a centralized and standardized and very common rich UI throughout the organization. Like if a new joinee just browses the internet, or maybe the CEO browses the internet, the UI, the features will still remain the same. However, the access area, the areas where they will have access, will differ from person to person. So in this pictorial representation of like what is SharePoint, you can see like how SharePoint caters to different segments within the organization. When we look at it, it delivers on the enterprise level, where we will have a portal delivered on SharePoint, like the complete portal. Then underneath that portal, we will have a division. We will have a site collection. That division would be like, say, your marketing team, your HR team, your sales, finance, your IT. All those are different BUs, business units, different divisions. They will have a dedicated page, a dedicated sub-portal, or a dedicated page area on the SharePoint environment. Underneath those divisions, we will have like team sites, wherein we will have the dedicated subgroups available. When I say like within HR, we will have different team sites available. One for, say, talent acquisition, then there is one for employee payroll systems, etc. So this is what we call the team sites, and underneath the team sites, we will have individual sites, wherein we will have my site, we will have dedicated content databases, we will have dedicated pages where people can just upload their set of data on it. What are the key features of SharePoint? Like there is one called collaboration, portal, business forms, content management, search, business intelligence. We get to hear these names very often, but what do they actually mean in terms of intranet? How does it actually serve the intranet well? So we all know portal, like, but just consider a situation when you need to create a few pages. You will be required to do a lot of coding. Maximum amount of coding will result a better UI, will result in the right type of SEO, and you will have a beautifully managed content available for the users. You will have to redesign your forms in order to ensure users are getting themselves engaged with the portal, are able to upload data, are able to enter the information, right set of business intelligence to cater the requirement wherein you will be connecting your system with Excel or some third-party databases, or a collaboration environment where you will have a centralized document repository, tasks, calendar, blogs, wikis, email integration, etc. So this is one situation where you will be doing all these things by entering a lot of code into it. Now there is one thing which you can have in SharePoint, like you can have a customized portal with no single line of a code involved behind it. It's just a few clicks away. You just have to click on few options, just have to configure it, enter the right type of a title, page name, URL type, permissions, and then you are all set. By the end of the meeting, I will show you a few screenshots wherein you will be able to see how to create a site, how to work on ribbons, how to work on some basic content types of the SharePoint. So we just did some research on like how SharePoint is being used in the organization, different level of organizations, and we got to understand most of the people are using it for the work group level. Like for example, like they just want to manage the content inside the organization, and it's like for the entire business. And we also got to understand the The second type of users are very much specific to the departmental. Like for example, in the organization, there are different departments. Those departments are finding SharePoint very helpful, and then multi-departments, and then the enterprise-wide. So this is like a small research stat which we have gathered, and you can also see like 67% of users says yes, it is still deployed in production. Like we actually did this filtration of the statistics on the basis of why or if SharePoint is procured in the organization, like if people are using it. If yes, then in what all different areas. So it says like yes, people are using it. It's up to 67%. 2% user says yes, it is procured, but it is no longer being used or no longer being deployed. And 31% says like no, we haven't, but it is deployed for sure. So we were not able to ensure that the user adaptability was in place or not. So as a result, 31% of the users, even though they have SharePoint, but are not using it. So when we say like SharePoint, a key to a successful intranet, so what does it actually mean? What does it SharePoint offer? What does it do different that a normal intranet wouldn't? In a normal intranet system, we will have, say, plenty of things. Like we will have plenty of things going on for collaboration, for IT support, ticketing, for finance, for sales. But in that case, we will have dedicated set of applications to cater those requirements. We will have dedicated set of applications to work and attain what we are looking forward to achieve out of it. But in SharePoint, things are a little different. SharePoint gels up with those applications, provides you a common UI to access those applications. SharePoint can cater. You can actually build those applications on top of SharePoint. So there are two things. There are two aspects to it. One, you can integrate SharePoint with the existing set of application and then can have a common UI within the organization. Second, you can build those applications on the top of SharePoint. So it totally depends on your set of requirement. It totally depends on the type of licenses you would like to procure. It totally depends on the existing set of licenses for the existing set of applications you have. For example, some applications will have perpetual licenses. Some applications will have licenses which you need to renew. So based on that, like for example, some licenses are just getting, say, expired in next couple of months. You can start building up a strategy right from now, like once it's done, how you can build those tools, those applications on top of SharePoint now. You don't need to procure, you don't need to renew those licenses anymore now, because SharePoint has a licensing mode which enables you to just procure the application only once and then keep on using it. You don't need to renew the licenses. So over here, when you look at it, these are a few common things which SharePoint caters, which SharePoint does for intranet. People are using it for sales division. People are using it for maintaining the overall governance. People are using it for social networking, integration, communities, and building employee portals. And on top of everything, it provides ease of administration. It is a very common painful area for most of the users, like especially for IT, wherein they have to manage different set of .NET or non-Microsoft based applications for different set of users. That is one situation. Another situation is like just manage SharePoint where you have all the applications either integrated or built on top of it, and then you just have to keep on managing SharePoint, keep on checking the backups for the SharePoint databases. So it eases out the administration part of it. What all are the key enablers of a successful intranet? So it's like a step-by-step journey if you look at it. Set up a collaboration environment wherein you can engage everyone, wherein you can have an environment where people can centralize the infrastructure for enterprise collaboration, where people can allow users to set up their collaboration sites and libraries. People will be required to just configure it, not develop it. People will be required to just click and access the data, not always apply and get some requests approved and then get the access to the data. No, It's like setting up the right set of collaboration environment. Then comes the content management and collaborative business process, where the elements like using content management capabilities to enhance information authoring and sharing falls in, where an automation of enterprise business process falls in, where integration of taxonomy and taxonomy structure for flatter collaboration culture falls in. So this is like content management is something which we have no matter if you have SharePoint or some other intranet. Content management process, the structure will remain the same. The only thing differs in SharePoint is like it allows you to have multiple features on top of it, like right type of search, like versioning control, like right set of workflows associated on it. Yeah, another important part in SharePoint is like you have dedicated workflows. You don't need to use separate application that will cater your requirement of having a centralized document repository and another application that will allow you to have the communication flow, another application that will allow you to publish some information. No, you don't need to use two different applications for that. You can have an application within SharePoint where you can have information flow, collaboration, document repository, content management, everything pretty much on the same plate. So another important part, another step would be the data integration and reporting. When I say data integration, it says like integration of accountability and secure transparency of enterprise information. What does that actually mean? We have different set of applications running in our organization anyways, which we just can't afford to replace with SharePoint or any other piece of, say, .NET-based application. We just can't do that. Why? Because those are a few set of applications that have, which are gaining the user adaptability almost on a regular basis. We just can't think of replacing them. So SharePoint offers a sort of a data integration module and reporting structure, which is like readily available right from out of the box. You don't need to pay separate licenses. You don't need to pay for separate licenses for maintaining that type of an integration. You just need to have SharePoint installed. And there are a few commonly available web parts called business connectivity services, which will allow you to have a connectivity with third-party databases, third-party applications, and you will have push and pull relationship over there. That means you will be able to retrieve data from that application. You will be able to push it back as well. So I think this is one magical feature which was not there earlier in the earlier versions of SharePoint, but in the newer version, SharePoint 2010, Microsoft has given this specific feature in all licensing types. So this is one thing which we can always take benefits for. So enterprise information management. It provides collaborative applications for quality assurance, integration for collaboration with the strategy goals and objectives of the organization. Often we hear the word about the common pool of documents, the centralized way wherein people can come over, can dump the data, and as and when required, they can perform a search and then can retrieve it. But for that matter, don't you think like we need a lot of customization? Don't you think like we need a lot of configuration? Yes, of course we do. We need to have our dedicated search servers doing the right type of crawling, indexing throughout, like 24/7, and then by the end of the day, we need to ensure that our search logs, indexers, everything are still functioning, so that when people will dump more data into it, then the SEOs or the search engines should continue working. So in SharePoint, how do we actually cater the situation? In SharePoint, we have got a dedicated search server where you just need to configure the search like once, and then from then onwards, whenever a record management or compliance application just want to access that piece of document, we can do that just by entering the keywords, the metadata, the tags which are associated on that document. Another beautiful part of the search on SharePoint, good that we were just talking about search now, I can tell you that in SharePoint 2010, we can search within the document as well. For example, you have got a document that contains a word, say Microsoft, and the file name doesn't really contain the word called Microsoft. When you enter Microsoft in the search keyword, it performs the search within that document, and if the word is available in it, then the document file name, the document will show up for sure. So this is a beautiful feature. So enterprise knowledge management, last up, when we will have all other things pretty much catered, when we have taken care of all other aspects, then the last and most important part comes into the picture for enterprise knowledge management. We will have knowledge, when I say knowledge management, what I exactly mean is the knowledge and skills which are required, which we generate almost in every division by every single individual. In the organization, everyone will be generating some knowledge documents, will be generating some useful document for the team or for the organization, but how do we maintain them? We don't really do that. We just keep on sending them via emails, and at the end of the day, it will just create a sort of a collage of documents in our PST Outlook files. That's it. We don't have a dedicated pool or source where we have all those documents intact. So in the knowledge management, in the enterprise knowledge management structure for SharePoint, we can have a pervasive knowledge management where we will have a quality of documents lying together in one document library. We can have search engine, we can have content management, we can have content approval, we can have workflows associated on each one of them. All right, so we can hear this term like very often when we say good to great intranet. Like, okay, I already have an intranet. Why do I need to restructure it? Like, what is it? What all are the features of SharePoint which I'm missing out on? No, well, you are actually missing out on plenty of things. Here is a perfect example for that. Multiple information site across the enterprise. Each division will have, say, this is an environment. On the left side, you can see an environment which is a non-SharePoint environment, which is an environment where we have all the different elements of a portal lying together. But these different elements are not contributing towards a successful intranet, are not contributing towards a great intranet. So when we have SharePoint installed, we can restructure those elements, we can restructure those sites, those applications, and then we can actually transform, integrate, filter, migrate, and manage the existing set of intranet content and connect it to the respective SharePoint boards. Like my sites, team sites, site collection. These are a few things which can cater to all those different scattered sites. And it can actually empower the organization with the collaboration, knowledge management, project management, content management enabled intranet, which is the end goal, which is the actual objective, wherein like we will have a consolidated enterprise workflow platform, where we will have a dedicated team sites, where we will have dedicated my sites, where we will have dedicated intranet, specifically to cater the requirement in the organization to publish the information, to ensure that collaboration is intact, to ensure the project management data is intact, to ensure all the previous knowledge dumps which we had in our earlier versions are migrated to the newer one as well. So this is like a perfect example of how to go to good to great intranets. Let's have another poll over here. Let's see what users are feeling about the technology platform. Like, what type of technology platform do you currently have for your intranets? Let's have a look at it. All right, so it's great that most of the users are already on SharePoint servers, so it's really awesome. Let's move on. We have seen the evolution of intranet, wherein people actually started using the right set of intranet in the organization, wherein they were more focused on getting the static information pages published. They were more focused on getting the communication and information flow going on in the organization. And they wanted to have some self-service intranet where people can come over, can browse some information, can search for it, and then can retrieve the results out of it themselves. They don't need to just send out an email to someone to get some specific set of information retrieved. And enterprise information portal. These like elements from A to D are like pretty much very old stuff for which we thought of having intranet, for which we thought of implementing intranet and a centralized portal within the organization. Whereas the element from E to H, you can have a look at it, like collaboration-driven intranet, digital dashboards, social and community-driven intranet, the consolidated enterprise workplace. These are the elements which are actually being required by most of the organization, and that is the main reason why people are opting for SharePoint. This is what I call the seismic shift from the intranet or from Web 1.0 to Web 2.0. And the best part over here is like that intranet and user requirement have changed a lot over the period of time. This is what I call the seismic shift, as I've already mentioned. Earlier, people needed different technology platform to exercise each practice, and now things are totally different. And now the expectations are much more than just an ordinary blend and boring intranet portals. They want more tool which can keep the users engaged, motivated, and yet comforted with the expectation that SharePoint is a versatile tool which can enable the necessary elements of a SharePoint intranet. So what makes SharePoint intranet successful? This is something which we will be talking in depth today, like collaboration, information management, enterprise network, employee enhancements. So when we talk about employee enhancements, even though I have put this block at the end, but this is actually a block which is very much required, which is the top priority if you look at it. Unless SharePoint is just being adaptable, is just totally adapted within the organization, we just can't call it a successful intranet. We need to ensure that people are on my side taking the leverage of all the enterprise network features like activity portal, social networking, department portals. We need to ensure people are on it. And once they are on it, then we can say that people are using the information management tools as well, like workflows, content publishing, records retrieval, digital asset management, backend system integration. Because when people are using my sites, they will have all those features readily available within. There isn't any feature of SharePoint which is available for an admin, for say your manager, but if that feature is not available for you. Unless we have a dedicated governance or regulation on it, there isn't anything that can stop you to start using those features. Those features are available for all the users in the organization. When we say the collaboration, what are the main elements that enables collaboration in the organization? Team side. For example, within HR, there are different teams like HR, talent acquisition, employee payroll, employee engagement, newsletter automation, and yeah, for example, these are a few teams. So how do we ensure that they are getting data collaborated? How do we ensure that they have some sort of a collaboration feature enabled which connects all four of them together? We just need to have some links shared. We just need to have some data shared with them in a form of pages. We just need to ensure those people will have a direct access, a read-only access, it could be if required, to our pages. We don't need to send them files via email. We don't need to continue using the paper trail for each and every small set of activity which we do in the organization. We will have workflows, we will have knowledge portals, we will have knowledge management system, we will have content publishing, which will enable the perfect collaboration system in the organization. And all that will happen only if the employee engagement, the employee enhancement is well considered. So SharePoint implementation models. This is how a common and unorganized intranet implementation looks like, where we will have a formal, informal structure of information flowing from top to down approach, where we will have different content management systems, business applications, collaboration tools, workflows, everything hosted on a dedicated application or technology platform. Nothing on a common technology platform though. Same thing happens with the informal infrastructure. It actually creates problem. It actually creates issues if you look at it in the terms of the command and control, or I would say like lack of governance. Focuses only on the formal and corporate communication. It also won't capture the pervasive knowledge management system either. So these are a few things. These are a few things where we lack in the common and unorganized intranet implementation. This is what we have observed in the SharePoint intranet as well. This is something which we have observed in the non-SharePoint intranet as well. So it's something very generic to the intranet. This isn't specific to the SharePoint environment though. Let me just show you an example of a generic model for an organized intranet. There is a difference between the unorganized and organized one. If you look at it over here, there is a dedicated layer of governance, and all these elements are sitting on top of it. There is a dedicated circle that contains, dedicated wheel, dedicated container that contains all those elements within. You can have a look at it, like social network. It enables work, knowledge management, learning, experience, participation from the end users, visibility, data connections. And how does it happen? It happens after people start using the profile dashboard, people start using the microblogging, people start using tagging, RSS feed, commenting. It happens only after that. And everything over here leads to pervasive knowledge management, a qualitative knowledge management. And the formal infrastructure, when integrates with the informal, it creates a layer of SharePoint. At the end, you can see that there is a layer, a common layer of SharePoint. On top of it, governance layer sits, and on top of it, the formal and informal sits together. Both are getting integrated. And business application, collaboration, business data, workflow, each and every element of formal infrastructure creates, or rather I should say like populates, an environment that gels up pretty well with the informal infrastructure as well. Let's talk about the right hierarchy model for SharePoint. So when we say SharePoint form, what does it actually contain? When we say SharePoint, what does it actually look like in the background? You can have a look at it over here. This entire form contains dedicated hardware server, contains dedicated software licenses, contains Active Directory synchronization, which is very important if you are talking about the intranet. It contains governance model, and when we have all those elements intact, then we can call a web application. We can provision a web application. Once the web application is created, within the web application we will have dedicated site collections. Like a web application could be HTTP your company name. Then underneath it, each site collection, each floor here would be like HTTP your company name /HR. Underneath HR there will be dedicated team like talent acquisition, HR payroll, and each one of them is a dedicated room. Each one of them is a team site. And underneath it, each thing which is contained by that room will be a content type, will be the individual segment. This is a perfect example of a hierarchy model for SharePoint. So information architecture and governance area. Well, governance, what does it do? It sets the rules of the game. What can happen when and by whom? These are a few things which get catered by governance. If you want the thing you build to maintain over some time, you have to ensure governance is in place or it will lead to chaos. What does the information architecture do over here? What type of a role does it play? Say, it actually builds a rational structure for your information. This leads you to know like where to put stuff and very importantly how to get it back again when you need it. We work with information, we need to know where we are structuring to be able to make a good use of it. So we need to ensure that we are not dropping it because this is very important, because dropping information architecture will result in a system that is hard to navigate and useless for finding your valuable content. Dropping governance will impact the long-term value of your investment as everyone does their own thing and the system becomes fragmented and unreliable. Content and collaboration services. Enterprise Web Content Management is a set of processes that allows the creation, customization, management, and delivery of enterprise information in a collaborative and centralized fashion. This specific definition explains the entire slice pretty well. Uh, it actually provides common UI. This is what it means: centralized information, knowledge pool, secured and governed knowledge management, content reusability, which is even more important, and structured taxonomy definitions. Positioning Microsoft SharePoint for Intranet. How important is the user adaptability? User adaptability is actually very important, right from the communication to self-service to information on the enterprise portal to collaboration, digital dashboard, consolidated work interface. All these things will ensure, will be required, rather I should say, for the rich user experience, for dashboard, search, advanced content processing, taxonomy, information architecture. The entire set of user adaptability will lead to the evolution of SharePoint. And Intranet residing on the layer of SharePoint. So this is one layer, sort of a step-by-step guide that enables the successful SharePoint Intranet. The social networking, the social tool, which is very important. Like often we talk about social networking in the organization, or Facebook look-like structure on SharePoint, but what does it actually mean? Social sites now make Microsoft SharePoint even more social with SharePoint social networking features like including easy SharePoint integration, some of the key new features of the My Side, some of the key new features of the social networking on SharePoint are like new and improved profile page. I'll show that to you in a while now. Dynamic activity feed. Right, I'm entering some data just like the way I do it on Facebook. I enter some stuff on it, like all right, like my current update, and it just populates the detail to all my friends. The similar thing is available on SharePoint as well. Communities. We can build dedicated communities like developer communities, like communities for the salespeople, communities for the finance people, community for the HR people, etc. Central picture library, like wherein we can have a picture dump as well, like everyone just can keep on dumping pictures over there and can have dedicated tags and metadata associated with them. People can search for those pictures as well. Tags and notes, etc. So the workflow automation, how important it is, as you can see, like often we talk about a paper trail, like sort of an approval system. I need to apply for a leave, I fill in some document, I give it to my manager, he approves it, I give it to the HR, they approve it, and now I'm all set to go on a leave. Now a situation can be well catered by SharePoint, where we can have a workflow automation, where we can have a dedicated system of managing all the data, managing all the documents. We just need to have the dedicated and the respective workflows associated on it. It will cut short the paper trail in the organization. I'll now show you a few screenshots. This is how the Office ribbon of SharePoint looks like. It is exactly like what we have on Microsoft Office. It allows you with different features. Of course, the features will not be the same what you get to see in different Microsoft Office applications, but over here, features will be very specific to publishing the content. Will be very specific to edit those contents. This is how the publishing is done on SharePoint. We just need to enter the right set of details. If required, we can edit it, and then at the same time we can make some changes in the theme, color, or font, and can add some pictures or videos if required. The document management system, like some large lists and libraries where people can just dump some data, can create some subfolders, can create some versioning on it, and can create some document sets as well, can create some governance and record management details as well. This is how the search looks like, a search feature over here. Is mainly like we just need to ensure that the right set of keyword is entered, and then the results will show up. There are different type of searches available for SharePoint. Enterprise, fast, dedicated search servers are also available from Microsoft, but the by default search from SharePoint is no less. It caters pretty much all the requirement a normal intranet organization of around 5,000 to 7,000 employees will require. This is how my site looks like, which enables the social networking and computing in the organization. And this is how a blog looks like. Blog look and feel is very improvised in SharePoint 2010. This is like a normal workspace. A SharePoint Workspace is another application which is available for free from Microsoft. You just need to download it, and it basically helps those who get to travel a lot, and they just need to keep on pushing some data back on the SharePoint environment. So they can just do that using this application, and immediately when their machine is well connected with the company's domain, the data gets populated on the SharePoint environment automatically. This is how multilingual user interface looks like. We just need to install some dedicated variation and language packs and post that. Once it's enabled, you can have the data published in the required language. All right, let's take some questions now. All right, I have got a question that says, what if we don't have enterprise search available? How do we handle the document search? Okay, well, we don't really need to have enterprise search for, well, you didn't really mention what type of requirement do you have and what do you need the enterprise search for, because based on the requirement, I can suggest like what type of a search would do best for your environment. But I can tell you, like even for a normal organization where you have got 5,000 to 7,000 users and you are running even a complex set of intranet environment on SharePoint, and you have got a large number of databases, a large number of files for or on SharePoint, a basic out-of-the-box search will just do fine. It will. You just need to have a dedicated search server. You will be able to do the crawling, indexing pretty much on a configured node. It will do pretty fine for you. You don't really need to work hard on getting some specific data retrieved. You just need to ensure the right set of content sources are configured though. You just need to ensure the data which is residing in some document library is being crawled, is being indexed. This is very important. All right, I've got another very interesting question that says how to switch email-based collaboration in company to SharePoint. Now, how do we actually ensure that we are doing the collaboration using emails? Well, we do that by sending the emails, by sending the documents to our managers, to our peers, and then get the document reviewed, and then get the document approved, and then we take some action on it. But what are we actually doing in the background? We are actually doing a human operated workflow. We are just doing different set of activities on the document before we further call it a final version, right? So how about automating all those things within SharePoint? When I say automating those things up, I mean to say taking the workflows, associating the workflows on those documents. Consider a situation over here. This is a perfect example of collaboration and removing the email or paper trail. All right, I have a document. I have 10 different people in my team. We all need to update our weekly status report in spreadsheets. This is an Excel document. The document is with me right now. I upload my set of details and I share it with the rest of the team. They will enter their set of details, and then again we'll reply all, and then we'll just resend the file to all of us. So we will just keep on doing the same stuff over and over and over again. And at the end of it, when everyone is done, our manager will have a look at it and then we'll review it. So what are we doing? We're just utilizing plenty of time, and still we are not so sure if the data is intact. Whereas SharePoint, what we can do, we can just create a file, upload it on SharePoint environment, enable versioning on it, and associate some workflow on it, and it will automatically start generating emails, will automatically start generating stinkers to everyone in the team. They will be required to just have a look at it, will be required to enter the data, and when someone is entering the data, the file will be checked out, right? And once the file is checked out, other person will have only the read-only access. That's the best part. Once everyone is done uploading the data into it, the manager will get an automatic notification saying the data is uploaded, the file is ready for your review. And consider a situation when someone is still pending to upload some data on it. Manager will get a detail saying that this user is yet to upload details, however, the rest of them are pretty much done. So this is something which will ensure that a document is being well circulated, a collaboration environment is maintained, and we can still cut short on the email part of it. Let's take another question now. How easy it is to insert pictures or graphics. It's very simple in SharePoint 2010. We have got dedicated web parts like SharePoint Content Editor, wherein you can just edit the picture, you can just enter the picture just like the way you enter and edit the picture in Microsoft Word. It's even simpler than that. We will schedule another webinar some other time, and we'll send out the details wherein I will just showcase some of the how-to stuff, and I'll just show you like how we enter, how can we put some pictures or some videos, and can make some changes over there, and can allow people to have a look at it more importantly. And we'll also tell you how we can add some metadata, some tags with those pictures, because these are the by default features of SharePoint. You add pictures very easily just by clicking on insert picture, and then picture is all set over there. You can also change the resolution of the picture. You can also crop it up if required. All right, let's take another question. Do you recommend a centralized approach of managing the content on the intranet? Well, it totally depends. Let me just rephrase the question once again for everyone. The question is, do you recommend a centralized approach of managing the content on the intranet? Well, up to some extent, yes, and to some extent, no. It totally depends on the requirement. These centralized repositories are beneficial for a team, are beneficial for a business unit, but cannot be beneficial for the entire organization, right? A document library, a centralized document or content repository for my team will help people within my team, and will help my manager, or will help the teams underneath the same business unit, but it may not create or add any value to the other verticals in the organization. Therefore, the concept of tagging and associating metadata with the file is very much appreciated. You can have the data uploaded on the centralized repository or your team-specific repository, but when someone else from another vertical wants to have a look at it, he can just search over the intranet. And if you have not associated some specific hidden permissions or some specific hidden attributes with the file will show up in the search result, and he will have an access to it, which is a very good feature, which enables that user to have a look at it. Let's take another question. Is SharePoint Foundation worth exploring as an intranet solution? Yes, it is worth exploring. This is a freeware available from Microsoft, but it has got a few limitations, like some number of users and amount of database for each content database, like for each SQL database which will support the entire SharePoint environment cannot exceed up to 5 gigs or something. So we have all those limitations, but it is worth exploring. It will give you all possible features what a normal SharePoint enterprise level feature would do. But yeah, there will be some difference in some features. For example, this business connectivity service feature, which allows SharePoint to get connected with Oracle or some other set of databases in the background. You will not have access to it. There are a few features that enable the users to have info platform or some Excel calculation services or some BI apps to get some BI apps integrated with SharePoint, which you can do it with the SharePoint Foundation. So it totally depends. It's like worth exploring, but if you have more number of users and you can foresee that SharePoint will pick up pretty fast in the organization, then it's better to do a pilot testing on a few set of users, and if you can see that some adaptability is there, people are really liking it, then then procure the SharePoint standard or enterprise license application or product, install it, and then deploy it. So this is like a step-by-step guide. Let's see, we have got another question here. It says how to use SharePoint 2010 with Oracle and none of the SQL Server data sources. Well, there are some dedicated, detailed provisions with which you can do that, but Microsoft recommends that you use only SQL databases in the background. This is how SharePoint is designed to work with. But if you want to integrate some piece of SharePoint with some data that resides on Oracle or some Oracle e-business suite, then we have dedicated web parts, dedicated feature of SharePoint, which is called BCS, Business Connectivity Services. We just need to have that embedded on SharePoint. And the best part is like this feature, Business Connectivity Services, is available for free. No matter if you have standard license or enterprise, you will get it for free from Microsoft. You don't need to procure it separately, or you don't need to buy some licenses which will support this feature separately. No, this feature is readily available out of the box, implemented, and have a push and pull relationship of data over there. All right, it says, what do you recommend we do about the limitations with SharePoint Foundation, such as database limit? Okay, this is what I just talked about. Well, this is a limitation. There are some workarounds available for SharePoint Foundation. That those workarounds are like you can have a dedicated content databases for each site collection. But do we really want to do that? Because site collections and sites are a few things which will just keep on expanding, which will just keep on growing in the intranet. So every time you just set it up, setting up a dedicated content database is like a pain, because when you will run through the SharePoint backup systems in the organization, then it will become quite a chaos, because then you need to back those databases up separately. It will create a lot of performance issues on search as well. So let's take another question. It's like, it says, what are the basic level of SharePoint content types? Okay, and how does it help? Okay, I can see that here. Okay, some basic level of content types are like sites, sites and site pages, some communities, blogs, and what you can build on top of it is like the HRIS, a Human Resource Information System, and the IT support ticketing and management, employee engagement. You can automate your newsletters over there, and etc. These are a few things which you can do, which you can consider as SharePoint content types. All right, I will just hand it over to Kamya now. She's our marketing coordinator over here on the call. Thanks a ton to everyone, and we will keep you posted on our few upcoming webinars. Have a great day. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you, everyone, for attending our webinar. We do have a few more questions, but since we're running out of time, we'll have to end the webinar at the moment. But we'll get to all the unanswered questions via email after the webinar. Now, I would again like to thank everyone for attending the webinar, and we hope you found it informative. The webcast will be available on our website within next 3 business days, and we'll also be sharing the webcast URL with all the attendees via email. Please feel free to reach out to us at contact@edynamic.net for any questions you may have. Thank you once again.